Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is just days away, a day to celebrate the civil rights leader, how far we've come, and how far we need to go.
As we honor him, we want to hear about your memories and why he's important to you.
And News 6 anchor and Insider Guide Crystal Moyer is here now to tell you how you can be a part of our coverage.
Yes, ladies. So we want to hear from you, and we've set up a special voicemail line where you could share with us the voicemails, and they're already coming in. You could tell us, some memories that you have about MLK or how he is impacting your life through his vision. So today I'm sharing two powerful messages from viewers sharing their experiences and also the impact he's had in their lives. The first one from Sonia Millard, who recalls the day Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was murdered on April 4th, 1968. She's sharing her mother's reaction as she watched the tragic events play out as a child.
And as tears poured out of her eyes, she was yelling to the top of her lungs, saying, "They killed him, they shot him, Dr. King is dead." And we knelt by her bed and had to say a prayer. Here I was, 8 years old. I had no idea who Dr. King was, and I remember thinking, is he a family member? Some elder I didn't know? And my mother just made us get on our knees and say a prayer. After that prayer, the TV stations were showing news emergency, shooting about the death of Dr. King. At 8 years old, I didn't know who he was, but I learned that night, who he was and all he stood for, especially to our Black community.
Sonia's message was truly touching. I mean, it was just a really tragic day. And as a child, I can relate, when you're growing up and you don't really know who these prominent people are. And she's just explaining how her family was just praying. Her mom was very devastated, and that inspired her to learn more about him and, and everything that was going on.
That sounds very much like the story my father told me about where he was as a kid hearing that story about Dr. King being killed.
Yeah. All right, so we also received an inspiring message from Marvel Briscoe, who had the honor of meeting Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. when he visited Orlando, giving an iconic speech at Tinker Field on March 6, 1964.
I can go on and on about him. He's a wonderful person, and I got to meet him one time out at Tinker Field here in Orlando, Florida, and I cried. Today I hold my head up proud, and I come on here to speak to you about one of the greatest men that I have met during my lifetime. And I thank him for giving me the chance to spread hope, education, to make it possible for women to become professional chef cooks at Walt Disney World. Because back in the 50s and the 60s, we did not have women as chef cooks at Disney. And I thank God that I got a chance to make that possible, to make that be a part of Martin Luther King's dream.
Wow. And Marvell, she had a lot to say. It was like an 8-minute long message. We couldn't play everything, but she was actually a union rep. And so she was very prominent in helping to get women in the kitchens and cooking at Disney World, which was incredible. I didn't even know that about her. So really cool. I reach out to her and see if we can learn a little bit more. But this is definitely a great opportunity to reach out and share stories. A lot of times it's difficult to get videos or to email people, but we're giving you an opportunity to just call and leave a voicemail.
Yeah. And you want them to keep coming in.
Yes, please. So if you have any memories of the civil rights icon or want to share how his legacy has impacted your life, there's still time to leave a message. Just call 1-888-664-9564. Don't worry if you don't catch the number. It's on clickorlando.com. You'll be prompted to record a message just like a voicemail, and we'll be sharing some of your responses on News 6 and clickorlando.com as we celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day on Monday. And as they start to come in, we post them, the full voicemail online, so you can really learn about some of these community leaders in our area that you may not have even known about.
Yeah, everyone has a story.
story.
Yeah, and there's something about hearing it in a
Yes.
voicemail versus just reading it in an email that people could send in that really adds to that impact.
Oh, it does. It does. It sounds like they're talking to you on the phone.
Right.
You listen, you're like, oh, okay. So
And
it's really cool.
And it's hearing from, you know, generations before you, whether you were hearing from the first woman who talked about her mother's experience, and then how it all kind of, you know, continued, you know, through the 50s and 60s, like there at Disney World. So it's just an overall a great thing that I feel that we're doing, and I think it's just going to be something that continues to be that vault of information that we can
Yes.
continue to look back and listen to those stories.
History is important.
Very much so.